2017, and this was sort of the beginning of exploring this way of working. And because I've been in Shallal and improvising is very much rooted in that intuitive, instinctive, authentic movement of the person and how that can be expressed in sort of more of a permanent form and how the body can sit into that. So these began with making large-scale drawings on the floor and then fitting the body into them. And I got really excited about how the marks lined up because they were my height and my proportion and the marks that I like to make when I danced. As soon as I put the body into it, they just made sense. They all lined up. Everything seemed to become like a complete puzzle. And they were always, the final product was always the photographs. The drawings were part of the process, but never a final element. And these are some more from the same series. And I just found it really exciting how it pushed me to look at the body in a different way, and the different shapes, and the different ways the body can add to a composition. And I just found them really exciting. Towards the end of the project, I asked a friend to come and model for me and stand in front of them. And she is taller than I am, and the marks that she makes naturally are very different to me. And I wanted to see how much each drawing needed to be made by the person and how much they really reflected the person's own movements. And although I was pleased with the images that came from this, they didn't sort of make sense in the same way. There was not the same connection between the figure and the drawings because they just weren't an extension of her. They weren't an extension of how she made marks. And this is a piece of work I made this spring. And the previous ones were all about the reach of the body and the external elements of it. But this was about the internal, how it felt inside to move or to make marks, and how that could be shown externally. And so they're rice paper and ink. And because it was locked down and I wasn't in the studio, I was trying to find ways to photograph them. So I put them on the washing line, and I just loved the way they moved in the wind. So these drawings that were about movement and the internal themselves moved with the wind. And this became part of a bigger project, which was a proposed idea for a public temporary installation piece. The idea was to have many of these ink drawings on washing lines, and for them to be moved through by the public, and to be danced in and spent time in, and to have dancers come and create work around them and perform them within them. This idea of having a figure standing in these drawings about movement was something I found so exciting because they were so long and they twist and they turned like a figure when they dance. And then from that, I sort of found Nancy Stark-Meyer's movement hieroglyphs. And I had been looking at the continuous nature of movement, but I also wanted to look at how a gesture could be contained within a symbol, and then how that symbol could be read with others in a sequence, and how that made you think about gestures when dancing. And then these are some experiments with a similar idea on tracing paper. And what I loved about tracing paper was the fact that it made the marks look as if they were floating, and then the order could be changed because they could be seen from both sides. So you could twist the paper up, and the way that you read the information of movement changed. And then I decided and sort of began thinking about the figure in colour, and both expanded in colour but also confined by colour. And these two works sort of run hand in hand. They're exploring the same idea in different media. So you have the movement drawings extending past an incomplete square, and how movement can push past And then on the left is a photograph looking at how you can distort the body.
You look like a French flag.
It does. It looks very much like a French flag. And I actually found that out. I was talking about it and trying to come up with a name for it. And I found a painting that was exactly like the French flag and the French Revolution. And I think I've just been making these incidental French flags for a very long time. And I just wanted to look at how you could abstract the body and make it more like a symbol, more like the essence of a body instead of the personality of a body. And these are a series of works that I'm currently making. I want to try and fill a whole wall of them. And again, it's how can you read movement and how can you read gesture? So instead of having all these symbols on one page together, what if you give each one its own page? And then you have complete control over how it can be read and how it can be organized. And these are a different way of looking at that sequence and how that can work.
The scribble game.
And then this is a piece of work I made in response to another artist who was sort of looking into abstraction and the core components that make up a composition of line, shape and form. And I wanted to make string the line and the body the shape and form, sort of looking at marks and how they can be recorded but photographically. And these are a series of works that I'm currently making. I'm trying to decide what to do with, and they are on wallpaper lining. And I just decided that I wanted to look at the sort of the flow and the internal sensations of the body moving and the breath and the ups and downs of a gesture and a sequence of dancing. And then this is what I'm currently doing within Backlane West with Zoe Osmond. They are sort of the beginning stages of a collaboration where I made a series of videos of moving hands and the gestures of hands, which I will send over to her, as she is based in Cornwall at the minute, and she will make drawings from the hands and the gestures and the movements that the hands make. Thank you, that's the end of it.